Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something really fascinating that's popping up. It's about how different generations seem to be using AI, and specifically ChatGPT.
Right. And we're kind of jumping off from a recent pop culture crisis YouTube video.
Exactly, where OpenAI CEO Sam Altman shared some, well, pretty intriguing observations about this whole thing.
Yeah, and what immediately grabbed me, and I think this is something that will really make you think, is this reported difference. It's about why younger folks like Gen Z seem to be turning to AI compared to, say, older generations.
Right. It's not just about who's using it more, but for what purpose, fundamentally.
Precisely. It's like it's moving beyond just being a fancy search engine.
Which Altman kind of suggested is more how older users see it, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And it's becoming something much more integrated, especially for Gen Z, into daily life, decision-making, even personal stuff.
Okay, so that's what we're digging into today. We want to really unpack these observations, look at the sources, and try to understand what might be driving this shift.
Sounds good. So maybe let's start with Altman's initial thoughts on that split, that generational divide he mentioned.
Yeah, he observed that older generations, they tend to approach ChatGPT as like a very advanced way to just find information.
Almost like a super-powered Google search, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He even shared this incredibly specific example, his own curiosity, asking it something like,
Oh, yeah, who is the wealthiest serial killer in America?
That's the one. Just to get a quick synthesized answer, it's that kind of direct info retrieval.
Okay. And that seems to be the pattern for older users, according to him.
Right. But then the contrast he draws with Gen Z, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so what's the difference there?
Well, he suggests they're using it quite a bit for academic tasks, schoolwork and stuff.
Which, I mean, given what it can do, that's maybe not totally surprising.
No, maybe not. But more strikingly, he also noted this trend of using it for life advice. Personal guidance, almost like a digital sounding board or, well, more.
Yeah, that leap to personal guidance, that's the bit that really makes you pause.
Definitely. The host in that video even used terms like Gen Z, using it as a kind of therapist, pastor, mentor figure.
Wow. So really leaning on it for direction.
Seems like it. And Altman also mentioned people in their 20s and 30s using it as a life advisor.
Right, and college students seeing it as this central operating system for managing complex tasks.
Which could absolutely include their coursework, yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe focus on that academic side for a second, because the data seems to back up that engagement, right?
It does. The video referenced a report from back in February. It indicated that a pretty substantial chunk of U.S. college students aren't just, playing around with it.
They're really integrating it.
Yeah, weaving it into their daily routine. Apparently, something like 1/3 of 18 to 24-year-olds reported using it.
1/3. That's a lot.
It's a pretty significant number, yeah. Clearly not some niche thing.
No, definitely widespread. And I guess that connects pretty directly to that New York Magazine headline they mentioned.
Oh, the everyone is cheating their way through college one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. It certainly paints a picture of AI becoming, well, deeply embedded in how students approach school.
For sure. And we even get these little glimpses into how students are reacting when educators try to adapt.
Like that NYU professor example.
Exactly. He redesigned his assignments to be, less easily done by AI.
And how did that go down?
Well, interestingly, students reportedly complained the work was suddenly too difficult.
Even though it was the same content.
Essentially, yeah. Just framed differently, requiring more original thought. Some apparently even said it hindered their learning styles.
Learning styles.
And the excuses for late work.
Yeah.
Just, wow.
What, like my AI ate my homework?
Pretty much. One student apparently asked for an extension because ChatGPT was down.
Serious. Okay, that really does underscore a kind of growing dependence, though. Like it's become essential.
Yeah, like it's just part of the toolkit now. The video used that analogy, didn't it? Comparing ChatGPT to a car just to get assignments done.
Right. And the justification being, well, everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, that normalization is something.
Thinking bigger picture, it really does echo those older debates about tech in school.
Like calculator.
Exactly. The video brought up calculators. The initial fear that, oh no, kids won't learn basic arithmetic.
Right. And now it's a similar debate, but maybe about more complex skills. Critical thinking, writing.
Yeah, is it just using a tool efficiently, or is it subtly changing how those fundamental skills develop, or maybe not develop?
It makes you think about what the core goals of education even are, especially when information and even written text is just so readily available via AI.
Definitely. Okay, so that's the academic angle. But let's shift back to what was flagged as maybe more concerning.
The therapist usage. Gen Z reportedly using ChatGPT for personal advice.
Yeah. And the video rightly highlights the risk there, right? The inaccuracy issue.
It's hallucinations, yeah, where the AI just confidently make stuff up.
Exactly. So the idea of feeding it all your personal context to get tailored advice, I mean, it sounds potentially useful on the surface, maybe?
Maybe, but the risk of getting just flat out wrong or harmful guidance seems pretty high.
Definitely. And you have to wonder what's driving that. Why turn to AI for that kind of support?
Is it maybe a perceived lack of human options?
Yeah.
Mentorship, experienced people to talk to, community.
Could be. Plus, there's the basic limitation, right? AI hasn't lived. It processes text, sure, but it doesn't have that human experience, that nuanced understanding of emotion.
Yeah, that lived experience feels crucial for good advice, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And there was that point about confirmation bias, too.
Oh, right. The AI therapy bias.
Yeah, just like you might seek out news or even people who already agree.
You could frame your prompts to ChatGPT to basically get it to tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. Not really getting an objective perspective, just validation, which might not be helpful.
And that anecdote they shared about the woman in the coffee grounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was something else. Ending a 12-year marriage based on
ChatGPT analyzing coffee grounds for signs of infidelity. Apparently, it started out just for fun.
Yeah, and the husband was just like bewildered, but she went through with it.
The comparison to witchcraft in the video, it sounds extreme, but it kind of captures the irrationality of trusting AI like that for huge life decisions.
It really does. It just underscores that risk of over-reliance, especially for deeply personal things.
And the commentary suggesting it might stem from this feeling of absence.
Yeah, like an absence of actual spiritual guidance and mentorship and leadership and real human connection.
So people are maybe looking for it in technology instead, even when the tech isn't really equipped for it.
It seems plausible, which I guess brings us to some of the broader implications here.
Right. There was that comment highlighted in the video.
About productivity versus long-term skill.
Yeah. Like, okay, maybe ChatGPT helps get work done faster now.
But the concern is about potentially intellectually handicapping a generation down the line.
Exactly. That tension between the immediate efficiency gain and maybe losing out on developing fundamental thinking skills.
It's a tricky balance. And that hypothetical scenario they brought up.
The solar flare knocking out the internet.
Yeah. It really makes you think about our dependence. Forget the usual post-apocalyptic fights.
The real struggle might just be remembering how to do basic things without looking them up constantly.
Could be. Suddenly basic skills become critical again in a way we haven't thought about.
It's also interesting how people approach this personally, different viewpoints.
Right. Like the person in the video who said they haven't used ChatGPT, don't plan to, value their own focus.
Yeah, wanting to function independent. But then contrasting that with the idea that, well, as AI gets better, more reliable, more conversational.
Even the skeptics might start using it. Kind of like how smart home device slowly crept in.
Yeah, that parallel feels apt. And that point about learning arithmetic. How it's not just about the calculation, but about developing reasoning skills.
Yeah, that feels relevant here too. If we outsource too much cognitive work to AI.
Are we hindering our own ability to think critically, to solve problems independently?
It's a fair question, though interestingly, the discussion did touch on AI's advancements in other areas.
Like medical diagnosis.
Yeah, analyzing MRIs, detecting cancer, sometimes even better than humans, which is amazing, obviously.
So that raises a question. If we start trusting AI with really critical health stuff,
does that naturally lead us to trust it more with personal advice too?
It's a thought-provoking link, but as the conversation seemed to imply, there's maybe a key difference.
Between AI assisting with specialized data analysis.
And AI replacing the process of learning fundamental skills through education and just, living life.
Right, two very different things.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the main takeaway seems to be this really noticeable generational difference in how ChatGPT is reportedly being used.
Yeah. Older folks, maybe more for information retrieval, like that advanced search engine idea.
While a big chunk of Gen Z are using it for school help, sure, but also, and maybe more significantly, for personal guidance, even emotional support.
And that trend definitely raises some big questions.
Yeah.
About our relationship with tech, the potential downsides.
Like over-relying on it for emotional needs, what that might do, and the impact on critical thinking, problem-solving skills. Those are pretty major considerations.
Absolutely. They're things we probably need to keep thinking about.
And on that note, here's something to really chew on. As AI keeps getting smarter, more conversational, maybe even more integrated, what does the future of human connection actually look like? And how do we handle personal problem solving? Is the sheer convenience and accessibility of AI ultimately worth potentially becoming more dependent, maybe even eroding some of those essential life skills we gain from figuring things out ourselves and together?
That's
the big
flaw, isn't it? Feels like that's going to shape a lot in the coming